So the next topic we get questions a lot about is what should I do with my third shot? Where should I hit it? Where should I place it? So the answer is different depending on if you're hitting a drive or a drop, right? Let's say one scenario is I hit a really good deep serve. Because of that, Bethany hits a return on her back foot, and she's kind of slow to come in. I want to take that next third shot and maybe drive at Bethany because she's running in and she's not at the kitchen line by the time I'm making contact with my third, right? So what would that look like? I hit a nice deep serve, and I want to take this ball and drive to Bethany so that Catherine and I can kind of be aggressive, get to the kitchen line on our terms. Where else would I want to place my third shot drive, right? If both of my opponents are behind the kitchen line by the time I'm making contact with that ball, middle is a great spot. A lot of times it causes confusion between partners. They're not really sure who should take that ball. And if you don't go middle, the next best option is probably straight ahead in front of you, right? Clint, the distance from me to Clint is shorter than the distance from me to Bethany. So me driving that ball to Clint, he has less time to react to my drive than Bethany would, right? And on top of that, if I'm driving my third to Clint, it kind of makes it easier for Catherine to kind of poach on that next ball if the ball's in front of me, because his lowest percentage shot would be going back cross court, which is what we'd be daring him to do, right? Whereas if I drove the ball to Bethany, then Catherine would have to make sure she's covering that ball. And so it kind of would result in our core positioning being a little bit different. But driving straight ahead, again, Clint would have less time to react to that ball. So I probably want to go middle with the drive or straight ahead to Clint. Now, what about my drop? So my drop is a completely different scenario, right? If I hit my drop to Clint, assuming that they're both behind the kitchen line, it's a shorter distance, so I have less time to get forward. It's also a smaller kitchen straight ahead, so I have less margin for error on my drop. And I just have less cushion, right? So the net's higher on this end than it is in the middle. So I just have a lot of different factors that will make the drop slightly more challenging for me, right? If I hit my drop through the middle or even cross court, I'm dealing with a lower net in the middle. I also have a longer kitchen cross court, so I have a little bit more margin for error. And because it is a longer distance, I have more time to get forward after I hit that drop. So am I never going to drop down the line? Obviously not. Sometimes I will drop down the line. Let's say, if I notice that Clint is a significantly weaker player than Bethany, maybe I want to pick on Clint a little bit. Maybe I drop to him because maybe he's struggling a lot on his fourth shot with my drop. But most of the time you'll see that the drops are usually going through the middle or cross court, just for those three reasons. Again, margin of error, longer kitchen, longer distance, you have more time to get forward. So another question about the third shot drop, Athena, how do I know if my drop is good or bad? How do I know if I should move forward or not? So I think the first thing that's important to know is you don't want to move forward no matter what, because if you hit a bad drop, moving forward only lessens your chances of being able to get that next ball back, right? So you have to determine based on how you hit your drop whether or not you should move forward. So the way that we like to describe that is a traffic light, right? So, some people like to focus on, my drop should be this many feet over the net, or I should focus on the apex of my drop being here. That's really complicated to think about. What I'm looking to do is try to make sure that Clint's contact point is in a certain spot, right? So if I hit a drop and Clint's contact point is knees or below, that's a green light for me. That means I did a really good job. I can come forward, right? If Clint's contact point is the knees to the top of his rib cage, that's about yellow. That means I will get forward some, not as far up as I would if I had gotten it into his green zone. If it's chest or above, that's red. That means do not come forward, do not pass go, do not collect 200, none of it. Of course, the more experience that you have with your third shot drop, the earlier and earlier you'll be able to tell, maybe you can tell off your paddle which zone it's going to be in, which kind of allows you to figure out, should I move forward, should I stay back? If you're just starting off hitting a third shot drop, you might not be able to tell till you actually see what zone it's in, to when you see Clint's paddle in a particular spot. The more you practice it, you'll be able to anticipate earlier and earlier, you'll get better at it, and you just want to make sure you keep practicing it so you have more experience kind of figuring out that traffic light. But the goal is you want your opponent's contact point to be knees or below. That would be ideal.